Hi everyone, Becky Hosey here again. This time I'm coming to you from my enclosed porch here. You can see a little bit of my backyard that is surrounded by woods. I just love it. I love to do nature walks. And this here is my littlest one, Toon, and she is the loudest one in our family, of course. She is a 15-month-old Havanese, and she wanted to be in the video today. So today's video is the introduction of Invisible Disease, a series of videos that I'm going to do, and let's get started. So what is invisible disease? So invisible diseases are a broad group of conditions that are not necessarily visually obvious. So what do I mean by this? So if you have a rash, and you go to the doctor, you go to get medical attention, it's pretty obvious what the issue is, right? So it can be visually seen on your skin. But if you present with something more subtle, like say fatigue or headache or joint pain, you may not be treated in a similar manner because you might not look sick, or you might be scrutinized, questioned, whether your symptoms are really true or not. Maybe, again, medically gaslit, like what we were talking about previously, that the symptoms are all in your head. So the category of invisible disease it's a very broad, large category, and I'll just name a few things. So autoimmune diseases, so they are invisible diseases, so things like rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, lupus, MS, Lyme disease, and all of its co-infections like Bartonella, babesiosis, those are all invisible. How about psychiatric issues like depression, anxiety, PTSD, very invisible. And, when I say invisible, not just to the medical community, but also to the general public, which I'll talk to you about in just a minute. Other conditions like gastrointestinal issues like IBS, gynecological conditions like endometriosis, fibroids, these are all invisible and very underappreciated in medicine, I can tell you for sure. How about long haul COVID? We don't even know much about this, and the statistics from that coming in are pretty scary. At least 1 in 10 possibly have this, and those folks are really, really struggling, to be recognized medically. So again, women that present, and especially, a female of color, that present to their doctor, and they have kind of an invisible type of complaint, are very likely to be dismissed, to be ignored, to be medically gaslit. Really sad statistic is that women of color tend to really be scrutinized, and so many lose their lives when they have heart disease, hypertension. They're just not being listened to, not being taken seriously. Actually, I just came across a 2019 Danish study, which I actually posted on my Facebook author page, and if you need to find that, you can go to my website and find the link there to that social media page. So a 2019 study was posted, and it showed that men are actually diagnosed on average 4 years earlier than women with the same disease. So I think cancer was almost 3 years. The only exception to this was osteoporosis. So women were actually diagnosed sooner than men. In this study, over 6 million men and women were actually followed for over 20 years. So this is a really significant study. And again, not super accessible. I had to dig to even find this. So I put the link on there if you want to check that out. So gender prejudice in medicine is just, it's such a problem. It's not just the medical community, it's the general public too. I can't tell you how many autoimmune warriors like myself I have heard from that have told me they've been harassed when they try to use their handicap parking permit because they just don't look sick to other people. You know, I have a handicap parking permit, and luckily I have never been, you know, confronted, but certainly I've gotten some bad looks over the years. I can tell you that much. But it really, you know, just boils down to disrespect. You know, we have no idea what another human is going through or has been through, and quite frankly, we can't be judgmental. You know, we should be empathetic. And again, that's a societal issue. It really comes down to that. So, you know, there's been talk about maybe putting like a special invisible disease emblem on parking passes, but why should we even have to do that? You know, we shouldn't have to. We should respect other humans for whatever they're going through. And we have no idea. We truly don't have any idea what the other person's going through, whether it's emotional, physical, or whatever. So, well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Right, Miss Toon? Please remember to like and subscribe. And my next video is actually going to be able to provide some tips for you if you maybe you don't have a diagnosis, you think you have an invisible disease or your loved one, or maybe you do have a diagnosis and your loved one has a diagnosis, and just some tips on how to live more successfully with that. Thanks again.